boys. Scheifele, real men. This one's going to Capstone. 940 speed. Thanks, boys. Great team win. Let's keep her going.
Usually gets it for points, but when you go in the fight and then you switch to lefty, you get the mechanic of the game.
Hey, Bucky, you played great. I should have went for the goal. Go for it. Just kidding. You're not that good at playing puck. Great win, boys. That was a good team effort. We frickin' penalty killed, did a great job. Great win. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Oh no.
For sure this time, though.
They missed all that. It was great.
There was something on my shirt, and Sarah caught it beforehand. So thank you.
Phew.
You are handy. 72 games into the season, you've become very reliable.
Well, you know, got to
Yeah.
be here for something.
Yes.
Looking
Yeah.
forward to coming off of that game against Vegas and the big win for the Winnipeg Jets. 5 points back of Nashville in that final spot. And tonight they kick off a home and home mini series, 2 games against the Colorado Avalanche. Play today here at Canada Life Center and then Saturday in Denver. So this should be a great one here.
Well, you have, as Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet pointed out, they play 3 of the next 4 games against the top teams in the league because you have Colorado, Chicago, and then throw Dallas in there as well.
Mhm.
So it is quite the challenge ahead. You've already beaten Vegas, so you've taken part of that as you continue to push for the playoffs. But did they gain any ground after that huge win over Vegas?
No.
No, they did not.
No, unfortunately. So as we've discussed many times, it is very challenging to gain ground in the league, especially right now. And with the way that number of the team schedules are playing out in terms of who they are playing against, but 5 points back, so they can make that push, though. It would be great to be able to see them they really need to get the 2 points here tonight and continue to build off of what was a very strong overall game against Vegas, though it was a little slow in terms of shots. There was a little nervous early on.
That first TV timeout couldn't have come any faster.
Yes.
Because it was 9-0 in favor of Vegas. Didn't look good. And then something happened at the TV timeout. They woke up.
Yeah.
We've seen it before, though. You come back from a long road trip and you start slow, but you don't want things to start that slow against a team like Vegas. But they did. After Vegas, outside of Vegas scoring that 1 power play goal, I don't think Winnipeg gave up a whole lot. There was a lot to talk about, though. Morgan Barron said the game was boring yesterday to the media during his availability, but that is not how I viewed it. I don't think a lot of people viewed it that way either, because every time you see Mark Scheifele with the Gordie Howe hat trick, there's nothing boring about that. Should we show the fight?
Sure. Just quickly.
Wait.
Well, quickly. So Ken Weeb's going to join us from the Winnipeg Free Press momentarily in order to help us set up the game. Are always one of our favorites, Connor McGahey, is going to bring the energy as he always does.
He said, "Can we do this later?"
Oh.
No. It's part of the story.
Okay.
Dramatic pause. He's like, "Can we do this later?" I'm like, "Our show ends at 1." He's like, "Okay, never mind." But he's at lunch during when we're doing this, so I'm curious to see where he will be located when he.
We have seen him from restaurants before, but
true.
Okay, so you mentioned though the Gordie Howe hat trick, as much as the 2 points, as much as the overall team game certainly stood out. Nothing was talked about more. I even heard it on Toronto radio yesterday. There's a lot of talk over the fact that Mark Scheifele got the Gordie Howe hat trick and had a decent tilt in order to get it. Local
product. Brett Howden with the hit on Kyle Connor. Mark Scheifele did not like it, and then this happened.
And the gloves off. That's how you build chemistry and you build your team toughness. That's excellent stuff. The old southpaw. Mark Scheifele.
So you heard the conversation from Dylan DeMello when you go when you're your lefty. I did not know Mark had that in him.
No.
He was asked afterwards, "Does anybody teach him how to fight?" He said no.
Yeah, he said he's not a good fighter.
But he'll do it.
This is his 3rd Gordie Howe hat trick. I spoke to him after the game.
Yeah, Stanley. Mark must eat soup. I like to see this is where you guys are going with. I love this stuff.
Yeah, 100%. A real hearty soup.
Yes. If you eat beef and barley, you can fight. That's period. What happens.
He said after the game that it was his 4th. It's his 3rd Gordie Howe hat trick that he had, which, to be honest, I didn't even remember that he had.
I remembered one.
Right. So add 2 with last night.
Didn't he say Arnie told him it was 4, or he said?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Someone gave bad
told
information.
him it's only 3, but not too shabby at all,
Only.
because that's tied now for the franchise lead in Gordie Howe hat tricks, which the most Gordie Howe hat tricks all time belong to who? Do you know?
No, not Gordie Howe.
Not Gordie Howe. Rick
No.
Tocchet. 18.
Holy crap.
It's actually a pretty interesting list that we should bring up at some point. So today, though, they go up against Colorado. Obviously, Colorado was here a few weeks ago. It was a huge win for the Jets. That was when they played on the back-to-back games. They won against Colorado. Next day, they won against St. Louis. Really got some momentum going with it. You know that Colorado is going to come in here. Number 1 team in the league right now. They've been winning. They've won their last 3 games.
Yes.
A deeper team than when we saw them last, because players have returned from injury as well. And you would have to think they're going to have a bee in their bonnet.
Yeah. They'll be mad.
They'll be mad.
Because, again, another one of those games where Winnipeg didn't give up anything.
Yeah.
So, Morgan Barrett can say it was not entertaining, but at this time of year, considering where they are in the standings, 5 points back, I think you would take any way of beating a team like Colorado. So it'll be curious to see how Colorado comes out. I thought Colorado had a lot of zip in the first period the last time these two teams played.
Yep.
Winnipeg just shut that down afterwards, and then nothing else after that in that 3-1 win. So considering the way Winnipeg is defending right now, I would not be surprised if they've managed to win this one too. It's every time you're looking at them going, they're not going to do this. They keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, even with the shot differential early on in that game against Vegas, I think it was 9-0.
Yes.
Beyond 10-2 in terms of shots. But as Scott O'Neill pointed out afterwards, he felt that a lot of them were kept to the outside in terms of the shots. So he was happy with that, even though obviously it was very glaring on the scoreboard, the fact that they were being outshot to the extent that they were. Going up against this Colorado team, though, you know that they are going to have their hands full, and Scott O'Neill was asked about it this morning during his media availability.
If you get to where you want to be, then clearly your path in the playoffs would lead through Colorado. So with these next 2 games, does it feel like a mini playoff series to you? No.
No.
Not gonna
I'm going down there. This is us against them tonight. This is the best team in the league. Just saw them, 7 games ago. They're even more well-stocked. Their injuries, they got some healthy guys back. They're one of the best in the league for a reason, and again, it's focusing on tonight. We need 2 points, and so whatever, we did a lot of good things the last time we played them, but in the same thing, that was, like I say, 6-7 games ago. Now we got to go do it again against them tonight.
And a lot of comments in here. Obviously, a lot of things coming in. It is a challenge to beat Colorado once. To beat them twice and home will be something else. And keep in mind, Colorado's doing exactly this season what Winnipeg was doing last year. It's just like they've led wire to wire essentially in the President's Trophy race. They had Dallas breathing down their neck last week. Now they've stretched the gap to 7 points. So it almost feels like they're getting back their game on track too. So dangerous, but if they stick to that game plan they played against Vegas outside of the first 8.5 minutes, and then a lot of the way they played them against that one, there's a chance there, right? So there's a lot of good things that come out of it. We should take a look at the projected lines.
Let's do it before we bring in Kenny.
Because I'll tell you something right now, you're not going to change much after all that. So Gabe Velarde was asked a lot today, and we'll talk to Ken about this. It's incredible the job he has done with Cole Perfetti and Adam Lowry. It's almost like a seamless transition. But as Gabe pointed out today, at home, their responsibility is usually the other team's top line. So the fact that they're producing not enough in his eyes, while also defending as well as they have, speaks to a lot to what he's had to adapt to. I say Mary Jane, that third line's great. A lot of speed on both sides with Morgan Barron. And we've said it before, and I didn't say this last summer, Rihanna, was don't touch my third line now. That's coming back.
It's coming back?
It's
okay.
Back. Don't touch the third line. But there's what they've got, this lineup that they have right now is really good. And Josh Morrissey with Neil Pionk, really, I've always liked those two together. And then Sandberg, Salamonson, Fleury, and DeMello. You're rounding out your pairings. And, of course, Connor Hellebuck in net.
Yeah, and the the way that Scott O'Neill usually approaches these games is that your top 6 is going to go against their top 6 as well, whether he alternates sometimes if it's Scheifele versus McKinnon or Lowry's line against McKinnon's, but there's a lot to contend with now. And I was talking with one player who said, it's not just about going, okay, well, where's McKinnon? Because they've got such active D as well, and obviously incredibly talented, that you're trying to keep your eye on 29 all the time, but then you also have to be aware of everybody else. There's a lot of moving parts with the depth that Colorado has.
Speaking of moving parts, this guy will find anywhere, anytime to come on this show.
Really?
It is Ken Weep joining us from, I believe, right outside the studio doors.
Good afternoon. There's no room between you or beside you, so I had to find a place where there was great lighting here.
Yeah,
there you go. Always key.
It's like you've done this before, Ken. I feel like you've done this before.
Hey, how about just before we get going and setting this up, while he doesn't look older than when we saw him yesterday, a very happy belated birthday to you, Kenny.
Thank you.
Big birthday celebration yesterday. It was what, 30 again?
No, happy to say 51, and we'll be thankful for everyone that we get. Yes, a nice serenade from some of the Jets content team yesterday. Also, Sarah, you missed it.
Some beautiful voices that they have. Yes.
Like, I felt bad for you because I'm like, my voice is terrible. Then you're throwing in 4 more on top of that. There's like no, Trey says, don't let Jamie sing. And I did. It was awful. That is one of the things when you become a parent, you become more aware of how bad your singing voice is.
Yeah, you don't like it to be caught on video.
And there's all videos now, of course. So I apologize, Weaver. We tried to make it special for you, but we made it worse.
Memorable. You made it memorable. I got a text from Ken about it afterwards. So
yeah, we care, buddy. Hey, I want to go to Gabe Vilardi, who is by far the most puzzling person, enjoyable person in a scrum that I've ever seen. You never know what you're going to get with him at all when you ask a question. But outside of how he feels, how effective has the Lowry, Vilardi, Perfetti line been in your eyes?
Yeah, it's been excellent. And although Gabe was not particularly happy about the conversion of the chances that have been generated by the trio, I think it's been one of their best lines, quite frankly. And it's been a very consistent line, which is something that we've talked about all year. The necessity of having that second line like the Jets did last year. Again, we hate to keep going back to last year, but when they had the Nemestikov, Perfetti, Ehlers line going for the bulk of it, that allowed them to take some of the pressure off the Scheifele, Connor, Vilardi line that has had to carry the Jets for the majority of this season, but they hadn't had enough secondary or complementary scoring, and now that line has really done an exceptional job of providing some of that offense. And even when it doesn't generate goals or as many goals as they would like, given the amount of iron that Cole Perfetti has been ringing in the last week or so, they're still allowing the Jets to have more of those handoff shifts that we saw last year. And Jamie, you talked about the third line. That it was often that third line creating the momentum in the offensive zone and doing the handing off to the top 6. So although Lowry's role has changed to a degree, I mean, that the ability of that line of getting things going has been incredibly important for the Jets if they tried to stay involved in this race. And Jamie, the other part of that is that the Morgan Barron line has elevated after the inject. I mean, yes, he had been playing with Lambert previously, but the additional injection of youth with Isak Rosean coming onto that line, we're seeing a step forward and a progression. I think Morgan Barron has been one of the most consistent forwards the Jets have had this year, and he's taken his game to another level. And quite frankly, Brad Lambert has done a nice job of adding that offensive element that hadn't been quite as prevalent. We know the minutes have not been there, guys, but this is a simple and small play, but his willingness to cut to the middle on a defenseman like Jeremy Lauzon, who is a very physical guy, that if you cut inside on him, the chances are pretty good you're either going to be running into the end boards or being run into the goaltender. That's an important piece of Brad Lambert's game that he needs to add on a frequent basis if he wants to nail down a job in the middle 6 on this team next season.
When you look at this game tonight against Colorado, obviously they had success, Kenny, when Colorado came into town the other week. how do they duplicate that? Because we were saying beforehand, and I know that some of the players were talking about it as well, that that this is going to be a Colorado team that feels that not only are they wanting to get their game fine-tuned for the postseason that's coming up, but they're going to feel as if, they need a little bit of redemption after the way that the last game ended.
Yeah, no doubt, sir. I mean, the template is there for them. I just don't think it'll be quite as easy to, invoke the template or put it into action, I guess, if you will. Jared Bednar, a master motivator. This is a guy who, he knows what it's like to get to the top of the mountain. This team doesn't like to lose to anybody, let alone lose to people within their own division. Just came out of the Avalanche room, and Bednar, quite frankly and openly said, I mean, this back-to-back home and home, they're sort of treating it like using a playoff mentality where you want to implement some things, and they're not happy about how they played last time, and they didn't want to use the excuse of being stuck on the tarmac for 8 or 9 hours in Seattle, but it was a factor. I mean, the Jets know this. I think it was last year where they got stuck in LA forever. They did not have the same level of energy, but they're going to have energy tonight. And although, Jamie, as you mentioned, in the President's Trophy situation, trying to go wire to wire, the one thing Jared Bednar just told me, I mean, they're still playing meaningful games because the groupings behind them, yes, they've got some separation now, but Dallas, much like last year with Dallas and the Jets, Dallas had pulled within 3 points at one point. So they're still playing meaningful games, which means you're probably going to get the A+ version from the Avalanche in this game, which means that the Jets are going to have to be incredibly sharp. And to your point, Jamie, you want to implement the system, Sarah, but you cannot have if you have an 8-minute delay out of the gate where you're sort of sluggish, it might be 3-0, unless Connor Hellebuck is otherworldly here. So Jets are going to have to be sharp. I mean, they've played very well coming out of the break. We know this, but we also know that the margin for error continues to be incredibly slim. Although some of the teams have dipped, the Nashville Predators playing really good hockey. So Jets are going to have to be very crisp and manage the puck incredibly well, because this is a team that can really feast in transition, given the likes of, Cale Makar and, Nathan McKinnon, who is involved in a race of his own, both for the Hart Trophy and the Art Ross right now.
When you look at what the Jets are doing, Weber, I guess the most important part is they're still playing games that matter. That's really what you want to do at this time of year. A lot of teams would kill for that opportunity. It's just really hard to make sense of what's going on here, because just every time you think they're dead in the water, they come back to life. It's the Undertaker every time coming off the mat.
Yeah, it's Undertaker at WrestleMania style. Every time you think,
up.
yeah, exactly. Coming out of the coffin here. I mean, we know this. I mean, it's been an interesting stretch. I mean, there were times where, there were some missed opportunities, obviously, with extra points available, and that, silly as it sounds, I mean, if the Jets had been able to put that game against Nashville away in regulation instead of losing in extra time, I mean, now that gap is 2 instead of 5, right? Or 3 instead of 5, or so. Again, my math, I'm going to defer on the math side to Sarah here, but yeah, I mean, but they've done a good job of staying in it. But this is it seems like we've said this going into every week, both of you.
Yeah.
This is the week we're going to find out
That's right.
which side of the ledger it's going to be on. I mean, the Jets have 2 games with Colorado and a game against Dallas, and then a game against Rick Bonus's Columbus Blue Jackets, who just so happen to be the hottest team in the NHL since he took over. So yes, there's a game with Chicago in here, and I'm not looking past Chicago. Jets have already lost once to Chicago this right. season, I believe. So, but when you have that level of opponent, you're going to either show that you can hang with those opponents, as you want to keep your hopes alive, however slim they may be, or you're going to find out that it's an even taller task. And again, it's a tough enough task at 5. Jets can't afford to let this get to 7 or 9 before that end of that stretch, or else that's going to be the margin. The slim becomes almost impossible by that point. But again, they deserve a lot of credit for staying in the race and finding an ability to improve some of the areas that had been plaguing them early on. We talked about the secondary scoring, but to me, it comes down to structure. They've been much more sound structurally. As Jamie, you pointed out Gabe Vilardi. Gabe Vilardi also, pointed out very eloquently that structure wasn't there against Anaheim or Boston.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they've managed the puck better. They've been better structurally. There aren't as many breakdowns. Now, again, this is a team that, occasionally has exposed the Jets in front of the net with those tip shots from the point and getting traffic in front of Hellebuck. So that's going to be an area to kind of key in on. We always talk about the warp speed that the Avalanche play at.
Yes.
They're also willing to go to those hard areas, and they will also get Arturi Lehkonen back today, according to Jared Bednar. So he's sort of the, he is their jack of all trades, plug and play. You put him with anybody, can play with the skilled players, can play with the worker bees. And, we know because he's scored important goals against the Jets in the playoffs before he even got to Colorado. So we'll have to keep an eye on that situation. And this is always a fun game, both of you, for Josh Morrissey and Cale Makar, right? They're buddies, they're Olympians. This year the Norris Trophy race is kind of convoluted. There's a lot of people involved in it, but there's that internal competition between some of the elite players in the game as well. That it's just a real treat to be able to watch when those guys go head to head as well.
I wanted to ask you really about you'd mentioned that Nathan MacKinnon, obviously in the hunt for Hart Trophy and his name being out there. So much like the Norris could be a little bit convoluted, number of different players that could be considered for it. I think the same scenario is out there right now for the Hart. Yeah. Who is it that stands out for you? I mean, is this one, can you ignore what Kucherov's been doing? Is it MacKinnon? What for you is, or how are you viewing this picture right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting, and maybe I'm not supposed to say it's secret ballot, but I'm one of the voters in Greg Wyshynski's monthly poll at ESPN. So I've had MacKinnon at the top for the majority of the race, best player on the best team, putting up the best numbers. But my vote has been, shifting towards Kucherov the last month or month and a half here. And I do think that he is the guy that would, if the season ended today, which it doesn't, I would be voting Kucherov one, and MacKinnon a very close second. And, McDavid, you can't ignore what he has done for the Oilers, obviously. But for me, I'm just going to, for folks who aren't aware, Macklin Celebrini, if the Sharks would be in the playoffs,
has to be
could leapfrog all of them
Yes.
with the 50-point difference between he and Will Smith. But I'm one of those voters, and some people don't like it. For me, you have to be a playoff team in order to be at the top of my ballot, or be on my ballot at all. Because, no offense, but you might be the best player on your team, but if you're 30th, I'm sorry, that just doesn't, that doesn't warrant a vote in the top five. Zach Werenski's a guy who's done incredible things for the Columbus Blue Jackets. People have been talking about Matthew Scheifele as well, not just for the Calder, but if the Islanders can get in. So, I mean, this is one of the years where there's probably, it'll be difficult getting to the fifth spot because there's probably five guys worthy of being in that slot. So right now I have Celebrini on the outside looking in. I do think right now it's Kucherov, but again, MacKinnon is the kind of guy that could pop off, if they have 10 games left or 11, he could put up another 20 more points, and all of a sudden there's a huge gap. I think it's a great question, sir, because last year, Hellebuck, I think, was getting pushed by Leon Draisaitl, and then all of a sudden Draisaitl was out of the lineup and almost kind of fused himself, not from the race entirely, but from the number one slot. I just don't think is going to be right as a voter to say, he would have got an extra 20 points if he had played those games. Well, guess what? He didn't play the game. So these things can change quickly. But yeah, right now, that's my long-winded way of saying Kucherov. Right now, Kucherov, MacKinnon, and I think it's McDavid for third. But again, Werenski definitely has strong-armed his way into the conversation. And again, it's just such a great example of how many great players are having, not just really good seasons, but exceptional seasons in a lot of markets. And the fact that so many young players, I mean, we saw what Celebrini did to the Olympics. If they hadn't dropped off here in the last month, I mean, I think there's a lot of voters around the league, and I am one of those voters that would have had Celebrini at the top of the table. But you can't do that if you're, whether you're 20th overall or 30th overall. For me, you got to be a playoff team to get a vote for the for the Hart. Norris can be a little bit different, though. I don't think you necessarily. I know some people don't feel the same, but I think you can be the top defenseman even if your team is not in the playoffs. But Hart Trophy, you got to be a playoff team for me.
Hey, buddy. Nobody votes better than you. Nobody relocates better than you. Thanks, man. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, and enjoy the game here this evening.
You too. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Ken,
Thanks so much, Ken. Can always, you can read all of Ken's work, Winnipeg Free Press, of course, but then you can also listen to Kenny and Rennie post-game shows, so you don't want to miss out on that.
So our next guest,
All right.
never know where he's going to come from.
Where is it today? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, my gosh.
See if you can guess. See if you can guess where I am now.
I haven't-
Right by the ring.
I like saying all the numbers.
It's the lunch hour. I'm sorry. I try and sneak you guys in as much as possible. So we're about to enjoy a ginger beef bowl, which I will not eat on your show.
Okay, well, that would kind of make it better. See, somebody already told us. Somebody's at Shark Club. Look at this. Look at that handsome devil. That Rycroft guy, good dude, I hear. Great mustache. Great mustache.
Hey, here's a quick question for you. We were just talking with Ken Weeb about Hart Trophy voting, just who he has leading his list right now. For you, is there any doubt that it should be Nathan MacKinnon?
Boy, I mean, I was having this argument in regards to the Vezina, to be honest, and how Scott Wedgwood is not getting the love that he should with goals against average, save percentage leader, people calling me archaic. Saying that, well, if he plays in behind that team, of course he's going to win. Well, so Jared Bednar can't win the Jack Adams because he has Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar and that team. But Nathan MacKinnon has, Marty Necas and Cale Makar, so he can't win the Hart Trophy. At what point do you give players credit for doing what they have done in the season? Look, the recency bias for Kucherov, who's been unbelievable. Necas second most points to Kucherov since the players have come back from Milan. Look, player who's most valuable to his team, if you want to go the language route, like Nathan MacKinnon is elite, and you have so many good candidates, and it comes down to a couple. Look, whether it's East Coast, whether it's not. I mean, for me, I watch MacKinnon every single night. I think he's definitely a top 2 Hart Trophy candidate. It would be his second, but we'll see. If you take Nathan MacKinnon out of the equation for the Colorado Avalanche, where are you? And that should give you your answer who should win the Hart Trophy.
Kind of like Dallas was breathing down your guys' neck recently, right? For the President's Trophy. Can you, if you were to guess, what would be the biggest change in the organization since we last saw you here in Winnipeg in terms of style of play?
Boy, that's a good question. Thank you for your patience, by the way. I think that, of course, I forget my headphones too, right? Like I'm in one today. I am absolutely in one. I think the biggest change since we last played what seems like 48 hours ago would be defensive responsibility. That's been a huge emphasis for this team. They gave up 7 the game after they played here to the Pittsburgh Penguins at home. They got embarrassed. They sort of did that the game before, 2 games before versus the Edmonton Oilers. So I think they've been better defensively. Goaltending has been better, and it's funny how far and how much those two go hand in hand. But there's been more focus on how to defend in your own end, not turn the puck over, and keep your house clean, which is what you need to do, Thomas. Keep your house clean.
I'm terrible at that. Hey, we appreciate your time, buddy. I know you got to eat. Tell Rycroft he's a hell of an actor. Hopefully he wins all those awards you guys recently had on your show, and look forward to seeing you a little bit later tonight.
You better come say hi, otherwise I'm going to be very upset. Sarah did. And you did last time, but if you both don't, then I'm going to be very mad and sad, and it's going to be your fault.
Okay. See you, man. Enjoy the soup. Talk to you later.
I will. Goodbye.
I like the ears on the ground journalism from Connor.
Yeah, that's great.
You always have great lines, and I like that.
You are sharp, way sharper than I am.
So one of the things, just before we get going here and we wrap things up, things that is important for when going up against Colorado. Not to say that it is the.
Should we run your one-on-one?
No, it's fine.
You should? Okay.
Yeah, the be-all and end-all for everything is that Colorado, when leading after 1, 27-0-4.
That's really disgusting.
When leading after 2,
37-0.
I know. A perfect.
Like no overtime,
blips on the radar. Nope.
37.
37 for 37. Scoring first 36-2-5. So this is definitely a team that you do not want to come out slow against, because they can, if they can take advantage of it. And if they do, it is very difficult to get it back. The Jets 7-3-3 this month. It is their best record in a month so far since October when they started. So that's a real positive thing. But they did do a great job against Vegas of closing down Vegas's rush game. There is no better team off the rush than Colorado. So the challenge now, of course, is to try to do that again for the second game in a row.
Well, I feel when Colorado came here, it was the same thing as they were all everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the Jets woke up. So as Kenny said, I don't think you can play that style of game to start with the Avalanche this time around.
No.
Don't want to do that twice.
No. Let's take a quick look at the projected lines again. No changes from the last game. The new version now of Jamie's Don't Touch My Third Line continues to be together and productive as well. You went through all of it. I like what we've seen from everybody. The Jets have played well at home. 18-13-6 is their home record. You know, Scheifele, how does he follow up his big game as well? He is playing in game 951 tonight, which is the most
the
most games ever in a Winnipeg Jets jersey.
Okay. That's big.
1.0 and 2.0. He passes Thomas Steen.
The great Thomas Steen. Yeah, these are the numbers that Mark's been trying to get to, right? When he became the franchise all-time leading scorer, he wants to catch Dale Hawerchuk.
Yeah.
So this is just the start.
Well, and one of the things that I was listening to on TSN that they've done recently, and they're doing it with baseball, which you must have been pretty happy that opening day.
Today.
Yeah.
Well, there's opening it last night on Netflix. Yes.
So, which we could talk about the Netflix broadcast later at another time. But one of the things that TSN's doing is looking at face of the franchises. And I think they might have done that with hockey as well.
They did, yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to see, and maybe we'll look at doing this on Saturday on one of these games, getting comments from everybody that's watching, because we love being able to hear your input on things. Is who do you view? If they go top 5, well, you could go top 3. When you think of face of the franchise, in the 15 years that we have seen this Winnipeg Jets 2.0 team, who do you view as being the faces of the franchise?
Kelly.
Okay.
Scheif.
Yeah.
Morrissey.
All right.
You?
I don't know why. That's why I said Saturday. So
I started off.
Oh, yeah. Okay, maybe we'll do Jets 1.0 and 2.0 just to make you think about something.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, that's fair.
So I've given all of you fair warning that
also warning about different time for the show.
Oh, yes, on Saturday.
Yeah, but I'm like, I know that's so tough, and it's great. Buff is of course thrown in there, and you guys are right. So keep all this.
We're going to talk about it more.
We're going to talk about it on Saturday. Start time 11:30 on Saturday. 6 o'clock game. 11:30 check-in. Just an hour earlier than usual.
Subscribe, set your notifications.
Yeah, punch the like button, all that stuff like that.
That's right.
And be ready to tell us your 3 players face the franchise.
Jets 1.0 and 2.0, or Jets?
Just 2.0.
Okay, just 2.0.
Yeah.
All right.
So hold those. I love where you guys are going right now. Just save that for Saturday.
Okay, another early Saturday morning. It's 11:30. It's not 8.
Yeah, I know. And if you're not up at 11:30, I don't know. I don't know what you were doing.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you know what? You guys are great. We love to see so many of you in the chat as always.
You're the best.
Looking forward to this game tonight, kicking off home and home. As we talked about early on, this is an important stretch, obviously, for the Jets. Just 11 games remaining, but 3 out of the next 4 games against top 2 teams with 2 games in a row against
Nashville plays
Colorado.
New Jersey tonight.
Then they play in Chicago and then Dallas as well. So we'll have, I think, a much better sense of what the Jets' future could hold.
We say, like Ken said,
I know.
Start of every week, we said, this is what we're going to find out.
This is the week.
What we're going to find out.
You know what? They're up to it. It's listed at 8.8% chance on Money Puck, but I will say that is creeping its way up more than what it was before. So good on them for.
What was it for Money Puck today?
8.8.
Okay.
So
they're going up.
Right. We hope all of you have a fantastic day. Always appreciate you taking the time to check in.